Hi again and welcome back to On TV. We are very happy to have some very devoted, well-informed, opinionated gentlemen in our studio with us today to talk about the United We Roll convoy. You might have heard about it a little bit in mainstream media. We covered it quite a bit when they came through Sault Ste. Marie the first time. Pat King is an original Saultite. Welcome home. Good to see you.
Thanks, Lynn.
And Jay Riedel is joining us as well.
Hello.
So, Pat, tell us a little bit about what it is that your message is, because now you're going on another trip. You're doing another convoy.
That's right, Lynn. So we're going across Ontario to all the communities that we rolled through, as well as trying to get down into Southern Ontario. A lot of people in Southern Ontario didn't have the opportunity to see what was going on. So it's time for us to get down and pretty much educate Ontarians in the South about what we did and why we did what we did.
So it's a convoy of truckers like it was the last time?
Not this time.
Not
this time, my partner here, Jay, and myself have kind of branched off, and we've got our own little kind of YouTube following and Facebook following. So in doing that, we are spreading a message across the internet that the mainstream media is not reporting. And so now a lot of people in the South part have never seen any of this stuff. So every time I book venues down Southern Ontario, you're what? You're who? A convoy? So it's kind of like, really, you never heard of this? Some people are like, I heard a little bit. What happened with that? Yeah. So that's why we're doing what we're doing.
And Jay, your particular interest in this is, and you're both from the oil fields and,
Right.
and you did oil and gas industry work for a long time. Jay, what's the message specifically that you want to get out?
We're just pretty much trying to show the government our discontent and you know, they don't have our interests at heart and Canadian interests at heart, trying to get our resources to market and try and get some prosperity for this country, because right now we have no way of getting these resources to market via pipelines and stuff like that. Our agriculture is being tanked right now with the canola. We can't export it, and we need some leaders in this country to actually help us get this through.
So what are some of the solutions in your mind? What does the government have to do?
Well, we got to start taking the handcuffs off some of this stuff. We need some people to actually get out and get involved with the communities to find out actually what was going to drive the economy in this country, and we get these pipelines going. And our environmental policies in Canada are pretty strict as it is, and we need to get this opened up and more people involved so we can start getting things happening here.
So Pat, you know what? Environment is such a hot button issue.
It is, yeah.
Always, right? And it's becoming more and more that way, and people need to think of it in a really large scale.
Right.
What's reaction to your endorsement of pipelines?
So with my background, I worked strictly on the rigs, from drilling to completions to flowback to production to plants and facilities. Now, I also hold a degree in occupational health and safety, which is also health, safety, and environment, which the oil field of Canada and Canadians' rules and regulations, we have the highest standards when it comes to environmental protection in the world.
So is that where the handcuffs come in?
Exactly, yeah. So what we're trying to ask the government is, you guys sit in an office, you guys write on paper and you're hearing what you're seeing or whatever from these reports. Why don't you talk to the professionals? The ones who know about this, the ones who know how to do this safely, efficiently, and environmentally friendly.
So I think that's one of the biggest things that people are concerned about when they hear about oil pipelines, and Jay, those who are against establishing them, they're afraid of the environmental impact, and the standards are really high.
Right. Well, we've been out, we got out to Fort McMurray there, and we did some live feeds of the oil sands area to show how really it impacts the environment. And what I saw, I've never been out there, and I was absolutely, it was crazy to see how good of a job they do at reclamation and everything. Like, people have to start looking into this themselves and do their own research to find out what's really going on behind the scenes.
The one thing I'd like to do more on that one is what a lot of people don't understand, and the folks at home that don't understand, is the oil sand was actually a naturally made disaster. The oil was leaking into the rivers, and the native people, the First Nations up in Fort McMurray, actually asked the oil and gas companies come up and say, hey, what are we doing? This is polluting our waters.
Right.
We're dying.
Yeah.
So they came up there.
And that's still ongoing.
Ongoing, yeah.
Yes.
And what it is the oil actually seeps out. It's so low, or so close to the surface, that it actually seeps out into the watersheds. So in order to save the environment, we had to take Fort McMurray and put it up there to contain it, to keep it from going. And the United States government and some other groups, undisclosed groups that folks at home don't know, but our fans do, have paid protesters to smear it. And we have the paper trail.
Really?
And a woman by the name of Alison Krause, or Vivian Krause, sorry, my bad. Vivian Krause. She's exposed all this.
Really?
And she has all the documents, and she's been on everywhere, no matter.
So this is big. This is like, you're calling this a conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy anymore.
No, it's not anymore.
It's true.
Yeah, we're proving it, and there's others proving it.
There's lots of people in our groups that have got all the information. We've got all the information. I have one environmental, actually with a doctorate and a master's degree in environmental research. And she has I have all the documents to show that the oil and gas industry isn't dirty oil. Canada actually has the cleanest oil reserves in the world.
Why doesn't the mainline media, or why don't people in Canada on a general basis know this stuff?
Well, I think a lot of it's suppressed for ulterior motives. We're not sure quite what's going on there. There's behind the scenes things going on. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're out doing what we're doing to try and change the narrative, so people actually go out and do their own research on this stuff to find out what really is going on.
Exactly.
And I think it's important too to mention that you guys are very well informed. You have your opinions, you have your experience in the industry, that sort of thing. But you're not necessarily saying you have to think like us.
No,
we want you to do your own research and find out for yourself.
That's exactly what it is. We
100%.
try and give the people at home the information, or where we've discussed stuff, and we ask them to actually, here's your homework tonight.
Right.
We want you to look up this and look up that.
Yeah.
You know, and our whole motto with Jay and myself, and you can read it right on his shirt, is to educate, don't aggravate. And that's what we're doing. And the whole narrative when it comes to the mainstream media, they're saying we're radicals and we're aggravating and we're screaming and we're
You've
yelling.
been called a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Like, how on earth do you even react to that? You have to.
You have to. When doing something like this, which is so monumental and historic, you have to be ready to take the punches. So I just laugh. I laugh in the face of it. You bet. You want to see I'm a white supremacist? Go check our stuff out. You'll see we have every ethnicity. We shake hands with every person we meet. We've had Muslims, we've got East Indians, we have African American people, we have Natives, First Nation people.
Yeah. You had a great meeting with the Indigenous folks.
Yeah, so up in Fort McMurray, Alberta, after doing all our filming, a gentleman by the name of Roy Ladiseur from the Seven Nations, First Nations, Fort Chipewyan, came down to the town hall. We welcomed in, we gave him an offering, we shared tobacco, and he smudged with us and did a medicine wheel and welcomed us into the community.
It was pretty emotional.
And what he said was the most impacting in my whole entire life.
Really?
He said, this is no longer about the Native people. This is no longer about the Chinese, the African American, any other ethnicity. This is about humanity, and humanity is in chaos. And he said, we need to unite together and work together to become a unified, united country. And here's the best part.
Wow, that's inspirational.
Here's the best part. He's a pipeliner.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is he for pipelines then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And we've been able to produce documents that show that the First Nations people up in Kitimat and the Wet'suwet'en, they've actually been given the money for the pipeline. And they want it because they need that for sustainability, because there's no jobs or anything for them.
And their focus is so much on Mother Earth.
Absolutely.
And they
Turtle
honor,
Island.
Yes, they honor the planet so much. That's all their heritage.
That's right.
So for them to understand that this is safe enough to do, and it's also profitable, and we can help sustain ourselves.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. There's never been any incidents out there, any major ones that haven't been cleaned up. It's like Pat says, that one line has been going since when now?
Oh, so the Trans Mountain that goes all the way to Burnaby, BC. It's been running since 1953.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
90% efficient.
No incidents.
Has never had a leak.
So, Jay, what do you do when you hit the big, huge political bureaucracy? Do you ever at one point go, I can't do this anymore. It's too big.
Gives us more drive.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Bring
to
it.
Push the truth.
Bring it, because every time they try and smear it and they try and make it look like something it's not, everybody else that is watching and following and have been doing this with us for the last 3.5 months, they are all seeing what they're doing, but yet knowing what we've done already and accomplished, and they're just like, wow, you guys, like, wow, they are smearing you guys. They are not telling the story the way it should have been told.
And you guys are just two normal guys who work in the industry and want the right information out there.
I'm a Sioux boy.
Yeah, you are. You're a Sioux boy.
I'm just a regular Joe. And this is why it impacted me the most, is because when I graduated high school, when I was 18 here in Sault Ste. Marie, is when the plant did the major shutdown. And everybody was out of a job.
Everybody.
So it impacted myself. So when I moved, there was no jobs here. So I moved out west in 96. I was out there in 96. And I did whatever I could do to keep a roof over my head. And I used Algoma steel pipe to drill into the ground.
Wow.
And I've got welders, and everybody told me the best steel we've ever welded on was steel that came from Algoma steel.
Man, you've done the full circle.
Oh, yeah.
That's so awesome. Jay, what can folks who are watching, how can they get involved? I mean, you're going to go on the road. We're going to talk with you, Pat, in just a second about where you're going specifically. But Jay, for people watching today, right now, what can they do?
You can head over to Facebook to our Rollin with Pat and Jay page. We're on YouTube. We're on MeWe. We've been opening up more platforms. We're kind of getting our website on the go, but yeah, you can come out to our town halls and find out exactly what we're talking about and why we're doing this. And we kind of talk a little bit about the convoy, a bit about what direction Canada's going and why it's so important to get our resources to market and get basically people back working again and this country back to being prosperous.
And that's the key, is Canada has the opportunity right now to be, or not now, we always have had it, to be leaders and self-sufficient and be able to provide for the citizens. When you see the government handing out millions of dollars to foreign countries, wouldn't it be smart to clean your backyard up first before you go over and clean somebody else's? And that's just the point. And they've been disconnected, and Ottawa's been disconnected from Canada for so long. They don't have the people's best interests at heart, and we know that. Perfect example, Justin Trudeau couldn't even come out and acknowledge us and say hi when we drove 3,700 kilometers across Canada with no incidents, no speeding tickets, no distracted driving.
And there were a lot of you.
There was 156 trucks when we rolled into Ottawa, loud and proud. And I have to say hats off to all my brothers and sisters on the convoy.
Right on.
We're doing this for you guys.
Right on. Exactly. Keep up the good work. So where's the town hall going?
So after tonight's show, we're off to Sudbury, Ontario for a town hall on the 12th at 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock at the Travel Lodge. From Sudbury, we're down to Windsor, Windsor to Guelph.
Hey, you're breaking the southern market. Good for you.
Well, we're kind of doing what we like to call it reconnaissance missions, right? But there's key points to each town that we're going to. And we all know the Dow chemical plant across from Windsor, as well as the housing market there is really bad. As well as the 1,800 people laid off there. Then we go to Guelph to kind of dance around London, that area. Then we're in Keswick, Ontario, or Georgina, just on the southern shores of Lake Simcoe. Then from there, we're down to Oshawa. And we're going, our hotel is actually right across from the General Motors plant. And then after that, we're riding into CFB Trenton.
Awesome.
With a convoy.
Yeah.
Good.
And it'll be
That's so awesome.
The Highway of Heroes.
Highway of Heroes.
Oh, I got goosebumps. It moves me. It means a lot.
It's
so everything that we're doing, we get donations put in. We have a GoFundMe page and stuff. Everything gets put back, donated. We take just the cost, the fuel and food and hotels and lodging. Everything gets back to our veterans, our First Nations, and our homeless.
Good for you guys.
As well as, here's the kicker. Are you familiar with the Cage Fowler Foundation here in Sault Ste. Marie?
Yes.
We have been quite instrumental in raising money for Paul and Mandy. We did an online auction the other day, 40 minutes, we raised $2,100 for them.
Wow, good
As
for
well
you.
as reached out to people who felt impelled to help them, and now Cage Fighting, MMA,
Yeah,
has sponsored them.
yep. You know what? That boy, there is a courageous young
Yes.
man.
Then
So
we-
Jay, if we want to Google you, if we want to YouTube you, what should we go? United We Roll Convoy Canada?
No, it's going to be Rolling with Pat and Jay because we
Roll with Pat and Jay.
Rollin.
Roll in
Yeah.
with
On
Pat
the
and
shirt,
Jay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. We'll,
So,
we'll get a
yeah.
good shot of that. So we can
And
put it in.
yeah, we are basically we go around to each of these towns and these cities or whatever, and we're showing with our live feeds the industries and taking people on a tour for people that have never been here before. They can see your areas and they can kind of see what industry is going on here.
Terrific.
So we
Keep
filmed
on
the whole
rolling, you
steel
two.
plant.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are doing some amazing work. Information is nothing but educational and helpful. So, research, research, research. Thank you both so much
Exactly.
for being here.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
for
us.
having us.
This is my hometown, and I'm trying to get them on the spotlight.
You know what?
And show them.
You're doing us proud. We appreciate it.
Sault Marie has a voice too.
Yes, we certainly do. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Luann.
We'll take this break. We'll be right back.